So thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. A lot of comedians will start their shows a little bit differently. Like they'll go, how's everyone doing tonight? But I don't do that with my shows personally, because if y'all are here for my dark ass sarcastic comedy, I already have an idea of how you're doing. You don't have to talk about it. I know some of you are here because you watch my dystopian workplace series on Instagram, on TikTok, the corporate verse. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh
Yeah.
It's for those of you who don't watch it, it's a comedy about ridiculously absurd office place scenarios, like coworkers chasing each other around the office with floor waxers and rescuing each other from the paper shredder. And normal workplace stuff. It's funny though, because the series inspires a lot of questions. Like a lot of people reach out and they get in touch to ask how my creative partner, Jason, and I come up with such off the wall storylines. And I always tell folks that every single one of these characters and their behavior, it's all based on people we've really known. And I think that's why people like it. It's really relatable, to be honest. It is though, you know, like, who doesn't have an Uncle Bill that goes to monster truck rallies and habitually lights himself on fire? I think we all know an Ashley who won't shut the fuck up about how her horoscope is so accurate this month. And I think everyone has an abusive evangelical mother who likely has untreated borderline personality disorder named Tiffany, who tried to start a cult and build a compound with your friends in Southern California, and you only realized what was going on when you were like 25. So you moved to Oregon, you start speaking to her, and you're enabling your dad less and less over the course of the year, completely cutting contact with them and the rest of your brainwashed, racist, Trump voting, QAnon supporting family before moving back to San Diego without telling you. You know, really universal, relatable stuff. It's supposed to be relatable. The series is supposed to be relatable. I was explaining that to my boyfriend recently, James, and I was saying it's really the goal when you write comedy. Your characters should feel like they could be anyone. And I'm telling him that's why I think people love the episodes with Jordan specifically. Because everyone does. Everyone knows that one guy. He puts a seashell to his ear, and the seashell is the one who's here in the ocean. Everyone knows that guy who has 2 brain cells, and they're both fighting for 3rd place. But I'm telling him this. And my boyfriend stops me like mid-sentence and goes, wait, who inspired the character Jordan? I don't know if you see where this is going. This is a significant question that like makes my heart skip a beat, because his monster narcissist ex-wife is named Jordan. And he has never told me that his monster narcissist ex-wife's name is Jordan. But I know her name is Jordan. So I just looked at him very calmly and said, it could be anyone.
Yeah, right.
And the mixture of fear and arousal that washed over this man's face when he realized that I created a successful comedy series just to spite his bitch ex-wife was unprecedented. But yeah, I had Googled and looked up his ex-wife. Mostly because I did know that she was a literal model. Like that's who I was following. I was following a literal model. And that's how I didn't learn that I was a sadist, but I learned that I had a little bit of a masochist side to me. No, I'm just kidding. I actually already knew I was a masochist because I learned that on my 21st birthday when I went to an S&M club, and I had this woman who was in her late 30s strap me to a cross. I had her flog me, and I had her tell me what a lazy, inconsiderate, selfish slob I was, and I totally got off on it. And that was a really big moment for me because it made me realize, oh my God, I've become my father. I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea though, like about my mom. Like, she was a homeless teenage meth head who intentionally got herself knocked up by a Jewish trust fund baby who was my dad. And I know this makes her sound crazy, but she is still my mom, which means I'll always think she's also just an evil bitch. I know some of you aren't here for the corporate verse. Some of you might be here because of my dead husband jokes. I can see by a few faces that is definitely why some of you are not here. That guy was like, wait, what? She tells what jokes? People who aren't familiar with my earlier work are always surprised when they find out I'm a widow, because this is not what they're picturing when they hear that word. They're picturing like Miss Havisham from Great Expectations. They're not picturing Pete Davidson's slightly less trashy older sister. But yeah, my 29-year-old husband died when I was 28, which is obviously a great sentence to start a comedy show with. But yeah, we had a comedy podcast together. We wrote stand-up material together, and we coped by making really dark jokes about his terminal heart condition. So it really did seem very natural to continue incorporating all of that into my work as a performer. I really think making jokes about trauma is relatable for a lot of people. If you're able to laugh at something, it's not quite as scary. It's easier to deal with, but I recognize that's not the case for everyone. I don't want to trigger anyone, so I always try to give people a heads up. It's really, truly not my goal to surprise anyone. I don't want to present my trauma like a box of chocolates. You should know what you're going to get. Instead, I prefer to present my trauma more like a sample at Costco. I give you a little taste, and if you like it, you can only get it in bulk. And, well, if you don't, fortunately, we got a lot of booze nearby, so. That's always my attempt at being gracious towards people who grieve differently than me. We all grieve differently, and that's something not everyone realizes. People always think like, oh, two widows, they'll understand each other. I found out the hard way that was not always the case. I'm personally like a very secular, atheist, sciencey type of person. Like, if there isn't data, peer-reviewed evidence, I'm not buying it. My husband was that way too. That's just how we are. That's not the norm in many grief spaces, though, which is understandable. Grieving people are often looking for signs. They often want that comfort of some kind of continuation of the person that they're mourning. It makes sense. So when one of the widows in a grief support group I was facilitating this year shared about how crazy it was that she was seeing a man who had the same exact barbed wire tattoo on his arm that her dead husband had, and she goes, "What could that mean?" Should have said was, "It means your husband is still here watching over you." But instead, what I told her was, "Well, it sounds like you're really attracted to men who make poor choices when they're 19. Sounds like you're really attracted to men whose crowning achievement was banging two chicks at the same time in the 90s. So if y'all are wondering, why is Tani not in the grief space anymore? That would be one reason why. I've gotten better though. I'm trying really hard to be more gracious, especially towards people who aren't suspecting me to like drop that dead husband bomb on them. I've gotten better, but I'm not gotten good. I was at a friend's birthday party last year at this like really bougie high-end restaurant. You know, the kind like where people order Pellegrino because like La Croix is too spicy. Like that. Yeah. And I ended up sitting next to this guy I didn't know. So we're doing this whole like surface level bullshit small talk bit. Like, how do you know the birthday boy? Where are you from? What do you do? And at the time, I was producing a podcast called Death is Hilarious, which was about how comedians use comedy to cope with grief. But trying to be more gracious, I go, I'm a podcaster. Leave it at that. And he goes, oh, what's your show about? And right as I'm answering, the servers of this restaurant are coming up behind me, so I can't see them, with this big ass cake. So the conversation went, well, my husband died last year. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Josh. Happy birthday to you. Yay! I was fucking losing it. I was laughing so hard. I could not have planned something that perfect to explain how all the absurdities around that get so goddamn funny. It goes that way sometimes. Telling people you're traumatized or like you're widowed, it isn't always funny though. Sometimes it's funny, but it isn't always funny. It can actually feel a lot like coming out. And I've come out both as a widow and as bisexual, and telling someone my partner died, way harder coming out as a widow. Coming out as bi was easier for, I think, like 2 reasons. One, because nobody was surprised. And 2, nobody was like sad when I came out as bi. Nobody was like, oh, you're bi? Oh God, I'm so sorry. You're a horny slut. Which is how I definitely would describe myself after I was widowed, horny slut. And that like shocks a lot of people. A lot of people who have never had a romantic partner croak on their watch are shocked by that. And let me tell you, it shocked me too. I was also surprised. I was not anticipating my spouse dying and then having my body start wondering why it's not getting railed by a Greek god in the middle of the night. That was very surprising. It was traumatizing, honestly, because I was like, why am I horny right now? This can't be okay. So I called my therapist at 2 a.m. She's amazing, by the way. She's this incredibly blunt Russian woman. I've been seeing her for years. I was seeing her for years even before my husband died. So she knows me very well. So I'm on the phone with her and I'm sobbing. It's 2 a.m., remember? And I'm like, Dr. L, so, you know, this is not the first time we've spoken today. George died earlier. And I'm pretty sure I'm a monster. So I'd like to get some help for that. And Dr. L goes, oh no, what did you do? Told you she knows me very well. She was anticipating the worst. So I go, well, I've been masturbating and sobbing like interchangeably for the last few hours. And I was just thinking that I would really want to get laid in the near future. So I was just calling to maybe see like what kind of skills you'd recommend so I could be a good widow and not do that. And she goes, oh, Tatiana. That's my name in Russian, Tatiana. Oh, Tatiana, This is totally normal and actually something I was having expectation of. You were having expectation of Dr. L. Are you calling me a hoe? Not wrong, but is that what's happening right now? And she goes, Tatiana, it's not hard to be missing intimacy. It was a very important part of relationship and love life. Very common to be wanting this. I'm not saying bring date to funeral, but
Wow.
I said not bring date to funeral. Calm down there, buddy. But you can find boy toy or girl toy. I know you are swinging both ways like Gate and Garden. You can find love whenever ready. You can fool around whenever ready. There's no timeline. No having guilt over this, Tatiana. Do whatever you want. So with my therapist's blessing, I made a dating app profile for the first time in my life at 28 years old, a few weeks after my husband died. And oh my God, have you been on these? I had no idea that they are incredible for a woman who wants casual sex. You guys know that you can order sex like you order food now, but it's free. They should call it Dick Dash. Should. It's exactly the same thing. It is. There are a ton of options. You tap on something that looks tasty and it's at your door in an hour or less. Technology is incredible. To be fair, though, because I know that there are a lot of men in the audience tonight, I do know that from my understanding, that's only if you're a woman. If you're a man, it's more like LinkedIn. Because nobody accepts your invitation to connect. And when there is an opening, you're up against like 1,000 other applicants who are probably more qualified than you are to get the job done. My condolences.
Lick your eyebrows.
And I will admit that I haven't always had a great time on the dating apps, though. Like, I say they were amazing and they were, but like sometimes ordering dick was almost too much like ordering food. Because one night, what was pictured on the app did not look like what showed up at my door. And you know how that goes. Like, you're standing there looking at your order and you're like, how hungry am I? Do I really want to put this in my mouth? Is this gonna give me a stomach ache in the morning? Fortunately, though, I quickly came to my senses and I was like, no. I was married to someone who resembled like a literal movie star. I have standards now because I know what I can get. I'm not fucking this guy. So 45 minutes later, I'm fucking this guy. I mean, he was there. He was warm. He had a pulse. It was a lot more than I could say for my husband at the time. I actually hadn't set out to sleep with men initially. My plan had been to sleep with women, but I realized that I respect women too much to drag them into like all of this mess.
Oh.
Like, I'm technically bi, but my version of bisexuality is just being straight because women are terrifying and I'm not good enough for them. Yeah, you get it. I see you. And all the men I've dated know this. They know I'm terrified of women, but it has never stopped them from asking the same goddamn question every straight man dating a bi woman always asks, which is,
Threesome.
Threesome. Can you set us up with a threesome? And I'm always like, no, I can't get us a woman. If I could get a woman, do you think I'd be with you? Come on. And they always go, makes sense. Men are terrible. That's why I date women. And that's kind of my point. Like, men are very low pressure. They're very low maintenance, but they're also not as like thoughtful and considerate as women. Like in my personal experience, men will literally ghost you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just saw the last row and everybody got it. They were like, oh. I wish my husband would have turned into a ghost, to be honest. Like, everybody's like, no, we've seen the Patrick Stewart movie. We get it. Patrick Swayze, not Patrick Stewart. I try to have a Gen X soul, but it didn't happen though. Like, as I mentioned, my husband and I were both atheists. We personally believed in the scientific consensus that after you die, that's it. It's just black nothingness. You don't have a soul. It doesn't go anywhere. You just become worm food during this teeny little blip in time during the grand, meaningless chaos that is existence. But, you know, of course, that all went out the window after he died because I spent months on the floor where I found his body with like candles and a Ouija board. Like, well, just in case. I mean, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt. Like, just in case science is wrong. I am serious. I spent months exploring every flavor of spirituality, and I was just begging this man to haunt me, or at least give me some kind of sign that he was still existing on like some kind of plane somewhere. I spent months like, okay, baby, give me a sign that would make even my skeptical atheist ass believe. Throw some books across the room. Take some furniture. Slam the cabinet doors shut. Who am I kidding? You wouldn't even close the cabinet doors when you were alive. You're not going to do it now. I really appreciate you guys laughing at these jokes because a lot of people hate them. Oh no. Oh yeah. Especially men online. They will find these jokes and they just like are incensed at them. Like, I shit you not, I was actually banned from a subreddit for comedians when someone accused me of milking my husband's death for clout. Yeah.
Wow.
And I responded by saying, well, I mean, to be honest, I'd much rather be milking his cock, but the last time I tried, I was escorted out of the cemetery by security. So here we are, Alan. Hell yeah. This is not my preference either. And Alan was very offended on behalf of my husband. He said, do you think he's looking down at you with pride? To which I responded by saying, no, of course not. I do think he's looking up and smiling, though. I'm just kidding. I know there's no hell. I do think he would be proud of everything I've done and everyone I've done. I really think he would. I feel like he like would look at who I've landed and he'd fist bump me and be like, nice. Much like my husband, my current partner was supposed to be a hookup. And I swiped right on my boyfriend, James, when I saw he was a quadriplegic with a bunch of wheelchair jokes in his bio. I'm not kidding. It literally said right on the top of his profile, at least you know I'll never walk out on you.
Oh my God.
It's like, tell me more. And tell me more he did. The next thing was, I'm a great match for you if you don't need help reaching things on the top shelf. And he's in a wheelchair. Yeah. And my bio said, widowed comedian comes with dead husband jokes. So we were a match made in hell. I guess you could say that I switched from using Dick Dash to Meals on Wheels.
Oh
Well, buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to get a lot darker. He's great, though. He is great. So is the parking. There's actually really only one hiccup in our relationship, and it's that he's not really a dog person, and I have a dog that I'm absolutely painfully in love with. I say dog because I always feel very disingenuous when I call this creature a dog. This isn't a dog. This is a Jim Henson creation. This is what happens when Elmo gets drunk and raw dogs El Chupacabra and you don't want to strip club. Okay, you want down? Okay, I'm sorry. God, you're killing me, Babs. You're gonna have 2 dead parents if you keep this up.
No.
So my partner doesn't care for Babs much, and I get it. I do. I really get it. Like, imagine a hyper ass dog who's really pissing you off, and you can't even kick her. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. I mean, he couldn't, but still, he would never. He's really been trying, though. Like, I joke, but like, he's really been trying because he's not a dog person. And she's like my kid. And he gets that to some extent because he has a cat. We have a cat, Benny, who he absolutely loves. I adore the cat too, but it's still, it's an adjustment. All 4 of us are learning to live together, and James and I do things very differently. And the animals are learning what to expect from each of us. Like, there was this one day, my boyfriend and I were lying in bed and the cat was laying at our feet. So I started petting him with my foot, and the cat looks up at James accusingly, like, they move? You've been holding out on me this whole time. We treat our animals like our kids, though, because we can't afford actual kids. Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, have you guys seen the price of bulletproof backpacks? They are not cheap. My boyfriend would cringe at that joke too. Don't worry. He's very wholesome. He's very sweet. He's the kindest. And it makes me worry for him because he's so wholesome and sweet and kind, like, especially as the world gets more chaotic and dystopian. Like, I don't know how he's going to make it in a post-societal collapse wasteland where we might have to kill other people to survive. And it's concerning. Like, this man was raised in a very upper class middle home in Michigan, and it shows. It shows. He's not originally from a place where the rules of the freeway are get in the left lane for the Hunger Games, get in the right lane if you're drunk. I'm from San Diego.
Oh my God.
I cannot tell you how many times we'd avoid sitting at red lights if this man wasn't too polite to drive like an asshole. I shouldn't say that. I really shouldn't comment on anyone's driving ever, because my driving abilities can only be described as a blackout drunk 4-year-old who fell off their stack of phone books while trying to make a U-turn. So he's fine. He'd hate that joke too. He would. He'd hate that joke because the thought of a drunk 4-year-old would upset him. He's really, really sweet. This kind, amazingly empathetic human being, and it's a terrible trait to have during the apocalypse, which I firmly believe we are in. So loving partner that I am, I've taken it upon myself to prepare him.
Mhm.
The other day, he was scrolling through Reddit and he goes, "Oh, wow, Sweden's making a burger that tastes like people." And I went, "Good. We'll have time to figure out what kind of condiments to use when we eat the rich." Okay, that's the joke to like the room. Everyone here's down to get down on a billionaire stuff. All right. Okay, cool. We may continue the show. Brioche is French bread, for those of you who don't know, and it is so good. I love French food. There's a lot I admire about the French, actually. The way they make food, the way they make art, the way they use guillotines to address the wealth gap. The French are they're like half of the group is like, I didn't know she'd be doing cannibal chicken. How I feel about this. And then there's always like one guy too, and I see you. There's always one guy who gets offended when I say I want to eat the rich. And I just want to assure you, look, when I say I want to eat the rich, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about your successful surgeon dad. Like, honestly, I'm not even talking about Guy Fieri, to be totally honest. Like, Guy Fieri's not rich. He's not. The rich guys that I want to go all Army Hammer on are the ones who are so rich they could afford to buy Guy Fieri as a personal chef and a sex slave. That's who I want to go after. Guy Fieri's going to be right there in the streets with us, leading the march to Flavortown, where he's going to be grilling up Doritos, Doritos, and Mark Zuckerbergers. He's not who I'm talking about. We're still in the hypernormalization phase, though. And after we get through that part and everyone realizes that we're living in this like post-capitalist Charles Dickens social Darwinist society. Some of you are past that. But when we all get past that collectively as a society, things are going to get like really dark. But in that transition phase, while we're still pretending that like 99% of us living as wage slaves is totally fine, it's going to be fucking hilarious. Because the commercials are going to get even more insane than they already are. Like, they are. We're going to have these Amazon commercials that sound like, we've upgraded our drones. You'll now receive free audiobooks and a short-range precision missile each month you're a Prime member. Relax with your copy of Atomic Habits while you watch your neighbor Stacy's house explode from your living room. Serves that bitch right for fucking with your azaleas. A lot of advertising is via influencing nowadays, though, and like affiliate links. And that shit is already really creepy to me personally, because everything is very sponsored and we're all being like, you know, tracked on our phones and everything. So all of these ads are targeted towards us specifically. And I don't think we're very far off from like fully sponsored private conversations. Like, yeah, like pretty soon you're going to be talking to your friend who posts makeup tutorials and she's going to be like, so Karen, I was sitting at the kitchen on our trademark IKEA brand furniture the other day, eating a bowl of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, trademark. And I saw a girl jump into our bird feeder we bought on Amazon.com. I did. And it slipped and fell off and I just started laughing and laughing. But not as hard as I laugh at the Big Bang Theory on weeknights, only on CBS. It's creepy. The actual content creators make is going to change too. Like the content, you know, itself, like life hack videos are going to be fucked up. Some 19-year-old named Avery is going to have a channel with a tutorial that's like, hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to attach your chainsaw to your purifier so you can filter the blood of mutant marauders into a reusable water bottle. Then we'll learn how to pick the corpses out of your death car's grill. I'll be posting new content every day. I avoid the shrapnel, so be sure to like and subscribe for more life hacks.
No.
It's gonna get bad. I don't know what's gonna be worse though. Like what's gonna be like the worst, if it's gonna be the dystopian ads or the dystopian customers.
Ooh.
I can see who has worked retail and who has not. Like I, for one, am not looking forward to Apocalypse Karen making a fuss over her gas mask being the wrong shade of Desert Storm beige. Truthfully though, like if I really had to like put money on it, I think the political ads are going to be the worst. It'll be the political ads by far, just because they're already so gross. They're so filthy. Like I live in California, so Nancy Pelosi has been sending me daily emails asking for money, and she's disgusting. I'd say she's just as bad as Desperate Cam Girl, but at least Pelosi actually fucks me. Just to clarify, because people always think I'm a Republican when I rip on Pelosi, I assure you I am not. Okay. I'm ageist, call it like it is. Look, all I'm saying is electing someone in their 70s is like letting someone order for the table before they leave the restaurant. It's just not right. But honestly, like wherever you lean, Democrat, Republican, leftist, fascist, I think we can all agree that the government is fucking us. The government's fucking all of us. I mean, they're fucking us so hard, it's really only a matter of time before we see onlyfans.gov. Onlyfans.gov. Only $4.99 a month, and we can show you all the tax cuts you could have, but you'll never actually get to touch. I've been a naughty government. I took away all your water. Are you gonna vote this dirty little oligarch out of office? What are you doing, Step Justice? That's how I always know that my crowd like skews a little older, is when there's like these people that are like Step Justice. And to that I say, if you have to ask, you're not horny enough to know. I do like porn. Like if you can't tell, I like porn. I go through stages of watching a lot of porn, which I don't recommend. I do not recommend consuming the amount of porn that I consume, because it does give you very unrealistic expectations. Like I was expecting to be able to afford a spacious home. Spacious home porn, or as it's otherwise known, Zillow.com. There really is porn for everything. If it exists, there is porn of it. There are so many genres of porn, y'all. You've got MILF, hentai, anal, gangbang, cuck, Asian male, white female, foot fetish, furries, bondage, interracial, tentacle, point of view, squirting, facial, public groping, private groping, monsters, lesbians, grandmas, face sitting, cake sitting, face farting, cake sitting grandmas, and good old missionary. That's just off the top of my head too. Like there are thousands of options because everyone has very different kinks, right? So why are there only 2 political parties?
Oh.
How are all these vastly different people supposed to fit under 2 political parties? 2 fucking political parties for over 320 million people in this country if you're in the United States. There are 30 more NFL teams than there are political parties. Oh, it gets better. There are 52 more flavors of Ben and Jerry's than there are political parties. There are 4 main Kardashians, 1 forgotten about Kardashian, and 2 half Kardashians, and still there are only 2 political parties in the United States. This country is a scam. These are all scenarios too that I've just talked about, like all of this chaos that my partner cannot fathom as a nice boy from the Midwest. I told him about this like whole porn with the government thing, and he just could not fathom it. I grew up in San Diego. I did not grow up a wholesome, nice girl from the Midwest. For those of you who aren't familiar with San Diego, just imagine Florida, but with less humidity and more weed. That's San Diego. That's San Diego. San Diego, specifically East County, San Diego, that's where I'm from. It's trashy as hell. But everyone always hears San Diego and they think about that show, Grace and Frankie, with the rich old white people.
Oh.
That's not San Diego. That's La Jolla. That's North San Diego. There's a reason those people have been advocating not to be called San Diego for decades. They are bougie. Bougie. Celebrities live there. The cost of living there is next level. Like I cannot even describe to you the difference in the cost of living between East County, where I'm from, and La Jolla. Like I went to the ER in La Jolla once and they charged me for fentanyl. Never mind that it was $83. They charged me for fentanyl. This was outrageous to me because when you get fentanyl in East County, it's because that's what they're cutting your heroin and your meth with. I'm gonna pay for this. But when I saw they were doing that, you know, entrepreneur that I am, it gave me an idea. I got the bill and I'm like, huh. And I called the billing department at the hospital and I was like, yeah, hey, I'm looking at my bill and I was wondering if I replaced the fentanyl you gave me, would you take that off the bill? And the rep laughed, like she thought I was joking. And I went, why is that funny? And we sat in silence for 30 seconds. This bitch did not know that I'm a widow, and Let's Make It Awkward is one of my very favorite games to play with people. I would have sat on that phone in silence for 30 minutes, let alone 30 seconds. So she finally goes, ma'am, I can go ahead and remove that charge from your bill. If you bring drugs into our establishment, I will call the police. It worked.
That's awesome.
Then I went for my follow-up with my primary in East County. And my doctor looks at me and goes, Did you try to sell opiates to the billing department? And I went, absolutely not. That would be insane. I tried to replace the ones they gave me. Didn't do that. just looked at me and went, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "I have crippling debt and shitty health insurance. What the fuck do you think is wrong with me?" And she goes, "Well, in that case, let me prescribe you some Wellbutrin before I send you up to the front for an invoice then." "Would you like a pap smear before you go?" And I went, "Nah, it's all right. I think you've already fucked me enough for today. Thanks, though." So now I'm flagged for drug seeking, which is weird because I was trying to give them back. It's actually what's really funny is that despite a very in-depth understanding of hard drugs, I've never really done them, to be totally honest with you. I've just been very consistently surrounded by people who do them for most of my life. And recently that's changed. I now live in the kind of neighborhood where the people in my complex call security because I look like I don't belong there. He has a lot of tattoos. It's weird because like now I'm often around people who have zero experience and understanding when it comes to hard drugs. That's very strange for me. You know who I'm talking about though, right? Like those people that like they're completely ignorant to drugs. The ones who say shit like, "You know, my nephew did a marijuana and it made him kiss the neighbor's dog and now they're married." That's what happens when you have a socialist president. And I love fucking with these people. I love fucking with them now, like, especially because they come to me when they're concerned that their like mailman's stepson is on drugs because I'm like their resident like drugs expert. So they'll describe some like mild shenanigans that some kid has gotten up to and they'll wonder like what could be going on with him. And they'll question me about this and I will tell them something like, "Oh my God, yeah, that sounds like meth, heroin, ketamine, half a blotter of acid, and 30 strong huffs of DMT. They call that little concoction the sleepy snuffleupagus on the mean streets of East County. You got to get that boy into rehab pronto." There's a lot of drugs in East County. There's a lot of baby resale stores too. That's relevant because those are the stores that are oftentimes funding the drug habits. Yeah. I see some of you there like clutching your pearls like, "Baby resale? You resold children?" No. A baby resale store is a place where one can buy and sell gently used baby clothing and products. So imagine like Pawn Stars, but with strollers. Same kind of dynamic. And I owned one of these stores from 2009 to 2016, which was back when everyone had things like disposable income and hope. The store was called Baby Go Round, and that job had a clientele that was so fucked up, they make film producers I work with seem wholesome. Oh, I'm not joking. I'd rather spend 48 hours alone in a room with Harvey Weinstein and Roman Polanski any day than these people. Have you ever worked retail? I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I've seen more sober people at a Kid Rock concert. You guys laugh, I'm serious. I don't know how, but I somehow managed to attract the same kind of shoppers who frequent dive bars, methadone clinics, evangelical churches, anti-vax protests, yoga classes led by white women in $200 yoga pants, and people who love Hobby Lobby, all in the same place. All in the same place. Drug addicts and anti-vaxxers I can handle, but Hobby Lobby people, ooh. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I actually really loved the anti-vaxxers. They were my best customers because they'd buy the clothes, and as soon as flu season came around, they'd bring them right on back. For some of you that are staring blankly, that's a dead baby joke.
Oh.
That job gave me more PTSD than finding my husband's body ever did. And that's why I got to make comedy work, because I am not going back to retail. I refuse. My years working in retail haunt me to this day. Every night I fall asleep to the sound of shrill voices screaming, Jackson, Hunter, Tanner, Braden, Jaden, Caden. I will beat your ass right in the middle of this store if you don't calm down. Now come over here. Let me change your shitty diaper on the cash register while this stupid bitch rings up my 99-cent purchase on a credit card. I just got beer and cheese balls from Costco, so there should be at least $3 left on that there Amex card. It was so weird. They always had a Southern accent. It doesn't matter that we were in San Diego. 80% of the women sounded like the 2005 cast of MTV's 16 and Pregnant without the milk. And all the ones who had Southern accents wanted to sell their shit to me for hundreds of dollars and then turn around and purchase items from my store for no more than a nickel. And when I explained to them, like, I can't give you $50 for this and then sell it for 99 cents, that's not how the economy works. They'd cross themselves, invoke the name of their Lord and Savior, Ronald Reagan, call me a liar, and leave a 1-star review calling me any number of ethnically ambiguous racial slurs on Yelp. These people were absolute chaos. They were so chaotic that my staff and I used to play a bingo game. This is a true story. We'd play a bingo game that involved the customers who would come in, and we didn't want it to be too easy. So we'd put like normal stuff on there, but we'd also put like outrageous stuff on the bingo card, like find a vibrator in someone's basket of baby clothes. And then like inevitably we'd like, and then so we'd have to like make it more outrageous. So then we'd add like someone forgets their child in the play area. A customer steals a mannequin. A new customer is conceived in the bathroom. Someone punches their pregnant spouse in a meth-induced frenzy. We just had to keep upping the ante as the years went by. And it really was just like such an asset to the team because it made the inevitable daily torture and trauma just a little more fun. It really did. Until one day, this lady, who we'll call Frances, because that was her name, came in looking really off. And I'm not talking about like, I have a newborn and regret my decision immensely kind of off, but like, I'm going to steal everything I can carry kind of off. That kind of off. And my staff, pros. Everybody was a pro. We all grew up in East County, so we clocked this bitch immediately when she came in. And I was working the sales floor that day. So I just like beeline on over to her. And I started doing that really attentive salesperson thing where I'm helping her find like absolutely everything she claims to be looking for. But really, I'm just trying to keep her away from anything small enough to fit in her purse.
Oh, yeah.
You know the kind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like straightening clothes very close to her. I'm like, can I hold that for you? Absolutely anything she picks up. Can I hold that for you? I'm pulling out all the stops. This bitch is getting boutique service at yard sale prices. It is And then she very abruptly and at lightning speed spins on her heel, grabs a mannequin in one hand and puts it under her arm like a football, grabs a stroller with the other hand and starts booking it out the front door like Usain Bolt in his prime. And I'm just standing there with my jaw on the floor. When I see this flash of color whiz past me, and one of my coworkers, Tanya, is sprinting after Francis down the street, screaming, "Not on my watch, motherfucker!" I'm coming for you, Francis. She's booking it down the street like she's the goddamn Terminator. It was impressive. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to call 911 because Tanya is going to beat this woman's ass into the ground. And as I turn to get the phone, I see my entire crew lined up at the window with their bingo cards. And the youngest Morgan goes, "Bingo, bitches!" That's my show, everyone. Thank you so much.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always really fun, but also like very nerve-wracking with new material. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so good.
Thank you so much.
The retail
you.
part was so relatable.
That was relatable.
The retail part.
Oh, yeah.
Retail's tough.
And I did it for 10 years.
I worked in the probation service. I probably saw some of your claims coming in.
I worked in a bargain bookstore. You can only imagine the people who trolled in from there.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough. It's retail is a tough gig, I think, like no matter where you are. And I've worked the full gambit. Like I worked high-end bridal and it was horrific. And, you know, I've worked in, you know, East County resale stores. And they're all bad. I don't think there's any retail that is like really, truly pleasant to work in.
No.
I went from retail to teaching, and sadly, teaching's easier.
That's saying something.
I've probably got some of your clients as well then, Mel Job.
Because parents are fucking nuts. Like I always said, like I love kids. It's the parents I don't want to deal with.
That's why I teach college, because there's a federal law, and I'm like, sorry, FERPA prohibits me from discussing your child, because parents still call. They still try. Like these are full-grown
man.
adults. They still
Wow.
try to call for their kids, and I'm like, sorry, there's a federal law.
And then I did ESL teaching in South Korea. So if you have to do a parent-teacher meeting with a translator, that's always fun. Because then you're like, are you really saying what the guy is telling me, or are you saying something else?
There's a lot of trust happening right now.
And then you have the translator, who's usually my coworker, who's like, gets a view on how I'm teaching or not, and you're like, oh God, are you judging me while you're translating for me, or like, what's the deal? What's the deal right now?
You're like, oh, did he do that? Yeah, I'll work with kids all day, but I'll leave the parents. Like that was another big decision, like, you know, besides that the world is ending, but like not having kids. I'm like, oh, they go to school and then like their parents and they're like, you know, like I can't.
I recently did some training in my job. I was training a guy who was deaf, and I had a sign language interpreter, and I had that exact experience. Are you really signing to him what I'm telling you? Because I know a little bit of sign language, and some of those words were quite rude.
I know a little bit too. You know, this one's really
I
think it's all you need really to get by.
I'm Italian, so I have at least 10 different ways to insult people with sign language.
Oh, I know this. I know this one too. I know all the curses.
I can show you because my webcam is not working at the moment. So
my favorite one that I learned is twat waffle.
What?
I follow an ASL teacher on Facebook, and that is the most valuable thing I've learned.
That's my favorite. Mm-hmm.
What's douche canoe? Can you ask her?
Wait, somebody find out what dick bagel is.
Dick bagel.
I'm gonna send a message before I forget. This is important information I need.
We got to get the answer to that in the video at the end, like little comment section. How to sign twat waffle.
We'll have to edit that for the recording tomorrow. Just be like, at the end, it's just me, like with like sign language curses, like. I'm doing a public service. I'm teaching. Education is important.
Okay.
On the bright side, if you lose your voice, you've got laryngitis at any point, you need to put out new content. Sign languages for the office.
There you go. That'll be my next corporate module.
that's real training there.
How to talk shit about your boss right in front of him without him knowing.
God, I wish I had that.
Well, if you hadn't guessed by my accent, I'm British and I actually come from Wales. And I had an English boss. Well, I'm raised in a community where they still teach Welsh in secondary school. And my boss was grade A arsehole material. You would have a field day. He makes Jordan look like, how can I put it? The same one at the office. And my colleague sitting beside me had literally gone from kindergarten right the way through the school and even did a degree in Welsh and then went off and studied law, which was the office I was working in. I cottoned on to this, and whenever we wanted to talk about the boss, we'd just break out the Welsh and he'd be, what are you talking about? In the UK, you should be speaking English. And my smart ass co-worker comes out with, you're in Wales, you should be speaking Welsh.
There you go.
He never ever twigged what we said about him. We didn't ever tell him, even after he left. I feel good about that.
You know what I feel really good about? I didn't get one message about somebody jerking off on camera in this group. I am so proud of all of you.
I must not have turned it on.
Wait, you wanted us to? Wait, what?
That was an option? I feel like that was implied.
My camera off real quick. Hang on.
How often does that happen to you?
I got so many people to come mod this thing because I was like, 70% of my followers are men over the age of 30, and I just got 300 RSVPs to this show. I am fully expecting cameras to go on and just. I need women to come help me, like make sure.
And you think that will
That's just
decrease
like-
the
It's not what this is about tonight. And
Now, how
I
many of that happens when you're actually doing a show in public?
in public,
Oh.
Rarely. I would
I
say
hope
rare.
so.
Never.
I
Rarely
hope
means
so.
it does
Yeah.
happen.
Not never.
I'm not gonna
never.
say.
The question is, are you more proud or disappointed?
But yeah, I'm gonna have a chat with everyone afterwards, but like I didn't get any messages or any alerts or anything like, yep, we got him. Like, well done. Well done, all of you. The bar is on the fucking ground and you exceeded
Stars for
So
everybody.
impressed.
Gold star all around.
That's spoken like
How
a
to
true public
frame-
teacher.
What's that?
That's spoken like a true public teacher. Honestly, I'm happy for you. That sounds like a success. So
But the night's not over yet.
Guys, like, we got 50 minutes left.
They were saving it for a coordinated effort all at the end. They're all going to at once on the count of 3.
It's all
just
synchronized. They're all making eye contact.
The code word is
Guys, that's
Scorpio.
the
One and 2 and 3.
Go.
We've
gonna
been
be the boss.
Have people seen the
practicing.
latest season of Kids in the Hall? Because they're in the first episode, there is a Zoom wanking epic sketch.
Oh,
that
God.
show still airs.
Kids in the Hall is
God.
still going.
They brought it back.
Do you
My
see
Yeah,
what kind
Amazon,
of
Amazon
bread I
brought
was
it back for a
making
new
tonight?
season, and it's very, very good.
Real.
I'd
Wait,
be
what's
impressed
no
with that
idea?
level of effort. Like, I'd be happy with that because that means they would be like present in some form. Like, that's not like the news you think it is. Because like, oh hey, you tried something.
Oh, I got a question in the chat, which you can also do. You can submit questions in the chat because this is a Q&A. What was it that made you go from retail environment to voice comedy? Could you not tell by the stories?
Stories to last you a lifetime, doesn't it?
No, I was actually a child actor in San Diego. That was always the dream, but like I wanted, the stability, of course, too. Like I knew how risky it was, like going into entertainment, going into acting. Especially my background was as a theater actor, which is like really, really hard to make a decent living with. So I was pursuing acting my entire life on the side of everything else I was doing. And then once my income as a voice actor, because I picked up voice acting and I was doing voice acting the whole time, but it really started picking up in like my early to mid 20s. That income started replacing my
Son of a
income
bitch.
as a retail store, and then I transitioned over, and then everything just builds as you go and into an entertainment career, and you just kind of like follow the leads, and here we are.
So you were a child actor. Were you in anything we would have seen?
Probably not. I really, really doubt it unless you're watching local commercials in San Diego in the 90s. Not a lot of stuff like that. Nothing that would be noticeable if it was national either. It was like stuff with my voice, like backgrounds in a Legoland commercial. I'm like, like, oh my God, nothing I have. A lot of small stuff. Yeah, nothing like that. A lot of theater too. I love doing theater. That's like my real love, but that's even less, sustainable than like traditional acting. How is your audiobook trending now after the backlash? It's doing really well, actually. Like it's always that like small vocal minority too, is what it seemed like, but like enough of it that like we were concerned. There was like enough people like sending messages to the publisher, sending messages to the author, leaving those reviews and everything that we were like a little worried, but I was also really surprised. I don't know like how many people
Yeah,
are
that's-
finished the book, but it's like it's not that I don't know if I'm just like I know I'm trash, but like I don't know if that's what's like leading me to think like it's not that bad. Like there's a lot of stuff that's very graphic, that's very popular, and yeah,
It's a
I
good
mean,
book though.
Yeah, it's a great book.
I
Yeah.
haven't read it yet, but
I listened to it.
it's bought, but I just haven't read it yet.
yeah,
Which book is it?
Lies and Bone. It's a murder mystery, and it's murder mystery and it's coming of age. So it's this 16-year-old girl who's put into these incredibly adult situations, and she's very jaded and she's very foul-mouthed. And I read it and I was like, oh my God, this resonates with me so much.
Oh, sorry, what was it called again?
Lies and Bone. It's by Natalie Simons. And it's won a bunch of awards, and I can't talk about a lot of stuff because of NDA, but it's has a lot of cool things coming up for it that would involve the screen,
Oh,
so
wow.
very
Yes,
Yeah.
very exciting.
cool. It's super
Awesome. You can be the credits announcer.
hypothetically speaking, I am supposed to be involved in the God, I'm gonna like Tom Holland this if I'm not careful.
Don't do it.
Girlfriends here. It's
Everyone.
Tawny.
I'm supposed to be involved in upcoming opportunities for the work. Okay,
that's
so
great.
multiple people want to know if I miss bingo. I do miss my coworkers. That's who I miss. Like I loved my team. Like I loved the people that I worked with. A lot of the people that I work with, we grew up together. Like I opened a store and I started hiring them, and we like all built it up together. And like the goal was to like, have everybody paid a living wage with health insurance and everything, and really build up something amazing. And I loved working with them. The clientele, not so much. Retail's miserable. That's just all there is to it. Retail's terrible.
Oh yeah.
When's my next show? I'm hoping to do a show every month, like something like that. It might not be like that to this extent every month, but like doing a kind of like meetup with like sneak peek new material and stuff. I'm going to be hopefully, just depending on how the pandemic is going with everything, I should be performing in some venues across the country next year as well. So
Yes.
yeah, I will keep you up to date, but I always want to do these virtual shows. This was something that actually we had noticed people were doing. My husband, my late husband, he was terminally ill and he was in the hospital a lot in 2019. So even before COVID, there were people that were doing like streaming shows very similar to what I do. And he loved it. He loved that these comedians were still doing that, like streaming their shows in some kind of capacity, because he was able to still, feel like he was like at a show. He was on oxygen for 24 hours a day. So he could, it's really hard to like, get to a venue in your house. So, it's something that I really want to keep doing in my work, even as things start returning to like live in-person stuff. I do want to keep doing this very consistently, just because there's a little bit of a personal thing. Just know that it's something that people I think can appreciate, because he did. And my partner now is a quadriplegic, so things are tough with accessibility a lot of times. Even if like we can get out, like getting to the place and like having it be accessible is hard too. So we also enjoy a lot of stuff online.
And I appreciate it because I live in kind of a small town, so it's like nothing ever comes to where I live.
Yeah, I get that totally. I mean, for me, I've got a small town and the fact that I live in the UK. So I don't get to get American comedians very often.
I just hate people.
Extrovert I see. In a class.
I'm not gonna lie. I also love doing this because I don't have to drive home after the show. Like we're gonna wrap this up and I'm gonna go take my dog and we're gonna go cuddle. And I'm like, Like it's, I'm wearing sweatpants right now. This is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, because comedians are known for how much they dress up when they go to clubs. Hey, I have a question. I feel like I should know this because I'm really late to the party on your work, but your corporate narration stuff is so spot on. Did you do a lot of that, or do you still do a lot of that?
I do, yeah. That's how it started. Actually, was the one of the editors that I work with and one of the clients that I work with. We've known each other for years. We've been working together for years, so we're very close. So like, this wasn't like, just want to like establish this wasn't something I was just like, I'm gonna send a parody to the client. Like, there was a script we got, and all I could think about with this script was like John Mulaney doing the HGTV bit where it's like, Stasia has a budget of $7. What kind of movie can they get? And I'm like, that's what this sounds like. And they kept asking me for more energy and everything. So I was like, you know, in the corporate world, we want you to sound like you're actually having a good time when it's really the most boring fucking thing on the planet.
Yeah. It's all going to be replaced by AI in a couple of years.
It is, yeah. That's the thing. Corporate narration will be replaced by AI very soon. That's happening right now. Like, I've lost a lot of work to that just because they're like, it's just more affordable and we don't care. Like, we just don't fucking care. So I sent that parody to them though, and they thought it was hysterical. They thought it was so funny. And the client was like, hey, you do so many of these though. Can you help us make it entertaining? Like, can you help like rework the script? Like do a way that like makes it so it's engaging? And I'm like, absolutely, I would love to. So that's where it came. I've done a video of this, but that's where the other one came from, where it's like, I put jokes in it. Like, I help people, I help corporations like rewrite them so they're interesting, and I deliver it in a voice that's more like this. So it sounds like it's really engaging, and like I'm really interested in what I'm talking about. So yeah, we know this isn't your favorite thing, but we're gonna try to make it fun. So sit back, it'll be a good time. And like it's gotten really good feedback.
Yeah, but
So
at
all
least
it took
people are
to get
putting in
the-
more effort.
What's
At
that?
least people like you are putting in more effort in corporate things like this. Here back in India, we are so used to the same voice and each and every one. Like there's the same accent. Hello, sir. How may I help you?
I try to mix it up. Like I try to make it more casual, more like conversational, you know, because I feel like with, you know, even the younger generations, or especially the younger generation, even those of us who might like be, you know, not in our 20s anymore, like everybody's very wise to that sales thing, to that like fake thing, you know, and I'm like, just say it for what it is. Like, we know this isn't the most interesting thing, so we're going to try to make this real quick and to the point, you know, and it's like, you know, add some humor in there. And, you know, we've had really good feedback. Like people were like it was so much better. It was like, I actually was interested because it sounded like the narrator was genuinely interested in the information. Oh, it's gonna get stuck.
Those parodies are just spot on, by the way. I just celebrated 5 years at a global corporation, which I'm not going to mention right now. But yes, you're doing those, and that's pretty much every corporate training I've had to have when I sat in there. Hi, welcome to our corporation. Like, yep.
Yep.
Corporate sizzle reels, right?
Of course, in the UK, they do it slightly different. They have the BBC accent standard, which is, so today we are going to be learning about blah, 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 blah. And you can almost hear the guy falling asleep in his head. It's a really interesting topic. And well, we're going to thoroughly enjoy this unit. And you're waiting for, aren't we, children, at the end of it, you know? But no, God, the BBC, I think it's called received pronunciation, if I'm correct.
Yes. I've narrated stuff and received. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started a job during the pandemic where they'd literally rush through all the training videos that they had and put these accents onto them. And you could tell this is my 98th script in a day and a half. I don't understand it, but I've got to read it and sound enthusiastic. And I've also got to keep my received accent on point. And like I said, you can hear them mentally going to sleep in their head and just droning on for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh, I know it well. Unfortunately.
Brian has been offered £2 million if he signs this client's contract without his boss knowing. What should he do?
Take the money and run.
Try the same thing running the text
Has been a
through
terribly
Google
silly boy, and he
Translate
takes
first.
a £1 million bribe. What should he do? Should he take the money and run? Should he declare it to his boss? Should he go to the cops? Or should he just forget it happened?
Oh, it's always ridiculous.
Get it.
Oh, this is a good one.
Like the harassment video. I mean, that's the ones that, that's what I got kicked out of, watching your face while you do them, because as an audio engineer for me, I mean, having to have recorded these things, it's hysterical just to watch your face and your eyebrows and how you get this big smile. And I told people about it. I said I was going to watch this tonight because I said she does these things that you just can't believe, and that she's sitting in this little room going, "This is the most asinine thing," but her face is all bright and smiley.
Her eyebrows really do deserve their own credit.
Yeah.
They should. I spend 45 minutes drawing them on every day. I would like to.
I think the finger pinches are my favorite. The when you're bopping forward and back where your stresses are. I always know it's gonna get really good because they get faster. It's gonna reversal's coming. It's a favorite part of the script. I can.
Even like the energy you give during that phase, like that zone, it is a bit monotonous, and it's really hard to like anticipate what are you gonna say next. So it really makes for a very enjoyable scene. Like you're just coming up, you're just saying something like bland, and then after 1 second you are like, oh my god, everyone is stunned.
Have you ever made through an entire script without laughing during those modules?
Yeah. Usually it's like the ones I write though completely. Like if my partner isn't involved in them, because like the stuff you write, you're like, yeah, it's funny. But like if it's something that my partner Jason writes, like because he writes some fucking hilarious shit. So if it's something where like he doesn't have so much of a hand in it, like I'll get through it no problem. But like 9 times out of 10, if he was responsible for most of that particular script, like no way. Like it's a lot of takes for that one.
You definitely appreciate the outtakes.
Oh yeah.
Does he write to break you? Does he like deliberately like put in things like, oh, this is gonna send it?
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's just like the goal in general, though. As comedy writers, like we always want we want to crack each other up. Like that's definitely the goal, to like make each other bust up. And if you were like this, like in school or as a kid or anything, you have that moment where you realize like you make somebody laugh and you get that like high. And then you are chasing that dragon for the rest of your life. And it's like, we still both have that, where it's like, we'll send something to each other and just like the other person just like fucking losing it. We're like, oh, it's like, oh, that's good. Like
I
we're
saw
all
that
trying
once.
to do that.
Do you
I
have a
saw
record?
that once. Gilbert Gottfried. He hosted something right after 9/11. Well, not right after 9/11 reopened New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he told a joke that had a plane crashing into a building, and everybody. And then he told the aristocrats joke.
Yeah.
And it slayed. People fell out of their chairs. I don't think I've ever seen a room break like that before.
That was the birth of Too Soon. I produced his podcast for 5 years.
I know his wife. His wife,
Dara, yeah,
was involved with Death is Hilarious a bit. Like she reached out and she was like, "Oh my god,
how cool.
Would have loved the like
she knows everybody.
She's so sweet. She's the best."
It was the funniest funeral I ever went to, I have to say.
I love that. She had said something similar, and I was like, that like, love to hear that, because people, that was where I got my start. This kind of leads into the next question from Tara. which is what's happening now with the Death is Hilarious Foundation. Now that you had to step down, are you still going to be involved? That was like, I was doing comedy. My husband and I were doing comedy before, and then he died. And I was like, I can't shut the fuck up about this. And I was coping, making jokes about it. And that's like where Death is Hilarious came from, is like there were like people who really were like appalled by like the thought of making jokes about what was going on, like that observational absurdity about trauma and death and everything, that were telling me like, you can't do this, you need to stop doing this, it's disrespectful, people are going to think you killed your husband, like you need to stop doing this, it's offensive.
Yeah.
And then there were people that were like, oh my God, I totally get it, you totally get it, I love that you're doing this. And it turned into like having those comedy, you know, segments, shows, whatever, about being a widow into a nonprofit, because at the time it was so taboo to do that. And this was like, you know, very, very early 2020, end of 2019. There was not, at least that I could find anyway, there wasn't a lot of like that grief humor, like stand-up grieving, as I like to call it, that was happening. And you know, fast forward almost 3 years later, it's a lot more common. You know, TikTok, when TikTok started taking off, as more people are online now and on social media, it's a lot more acceptable, like to, you know, use humor to talk about grief, to cope with grief, to make jokes about it. There are people who have released specials about it. You know, it was like, oh, this is okay now. And I was glad that, you know, it didn't feel like I was one of few. It's very, very common now. And, you know, that was where I started the nonprofit, Death is Hilarious. And I have had a lot of opportunities to grow my career as far as like entertainment goes. So I'm not involved in the organization anymore because of that. I wasn't able to do both. And like, I personally don't think it's ethical to run something that you can't be involved in every day and be accessible to people with. That's just like against my ethics. I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, yes, grow it and let somebody else take care of it, and I'll just reap the benefits and just be a figurehead. Like it's very important to me, like if you're running a business, running an organization or anything like that, to be very, very involved and very available to people, to solve problems and to serve. And that wasn't something I was able to do alongside my career. And to be perfectly honest, my lifelong dream was not to run a grief organization. It was to be a comedian. It was to be an actor. And it was my husband's too. So, you know, right now I actually feel closer to him, and I feel like I'm honoring him continuing my career and doing comedy, as opposed to being involved in that organization and that the foundation. And it's set up, it's working really well. There are really great people who are working it and who love it. And I know that they will continue to be, you know, a service with everybody else who's involved in doing this stuff in the grief space.
Well, thank you for starting it. It's it's hugely important. It just, people need that, and they needed to know it was okay, which, you know, it was a big deal.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad it's like so common now. Like I love seeing these people. It's like, it's a grief comedy show, or it's like, you know, death, like different stuff with death. Like Ben Wasserman has a show about grief that he performs at funeral homes. And I saw another grief show was happening like last night. Like it's really cool. It's been awesome. Like it's really like heartening. I'm like, I'm so glad that it's not like this weird thing anymore. It's so common, because it was so hard in the beginning when I was doing it. And I'm so glad that that's not the case anymore. So thanks, COVID.
I've got to touch on the OnlyFans.gov. I think that's the only way we're going to be able to get a third political party out of it.
That was a banger. That was like,
No, the ages was pretty accurate.
Now that I'm not stealing the show, I have to tell a story. So Tani's husband actually did die on my birthday. So that restaurant story actually just happened to me. It's like, oh, happy birthday, Diana. Oh, Tony's husband died. Trump was also elected on my birthday though, so it's on theme. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen November 8th of this year. It is election day. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry. It's my
Is there
fault.
any chance you could be out of town?
November 8th is a bad day. I just, it's
I'm pretty
it's
sure
cursed.
that meteor we just nudged is going to circle
Yeah,
around. the fucking
sorry.
sun.
I can't help what happens on my birthday. It's cursed day, I guess. So
And Diana is my mentor in voice acting. We work together. I don't know. I can still call you my mentor. I feel like now, I don't know.
now we're colleagues.
Colleagues,
Yeah.
yeah. Diana and I have been friends for a long time. Also an amazing voice actor.
Thank you.
Going
I
back
just
to
recorded a
Cody.
Netflix thing yesterday. I can't talk about it, but I mean, other than I did it. That's it. That's all. But yeah, the Zoom is much better. I had to drive to LA on a Friday afternoon. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is horrible. Why do I have to leave
Netflix
my
isn't letting
house?
people work from home, right? For the most part,
They
want
did
everybody in.
during the height of it, but once
Right.
the SAG studios were back open with protocols, I mean, I felt very safe. I had my own little room. No one else was in that room. An hour before I was in that room, everything was remote. Everybody was wearing N95s. But yeah, I mean, I did have to drive to LA for a 40-minute session. So I drove from Orange County. I live by Disneyland for 2 hours up for a 40-minute session.
Yeah, sounds about right. My employee, I work for a studio in New York City, and he's getting upset because since COVID, I've been mostly at home. I only go in if somebody really needs me to come in, which isn't often. And now I think, the actors are showing up at our booths, but we're still home, kind of running it from here. The clients are still on Zoom. So I think he's starting to feel the pressure of like paying rent. Will you guys come back? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
No,
I really
I'm
like
gonna
it
sit
here.
It says the meeting was at capacity.
I know. I'm actually not very happy about that because I paid quite a bit to get the license to allow this for up to 1,000 people. So gonna be speaking with Zoom
Yes,
tomorrow.
get some money back
So
there.
it might have counted me for like 10 people. I don't know. It might have seen my weight and just added another 10. I don't know.
Yeah, at first it would let me in.
No, I'm scrolling through that and I'm like, I paid a lot of money to make sure 1,000 people could be in this meeting, and that's
Oh,
not
yeah,
it.
it said there was 100.
That's
Said a
really
capacity
We
of
still had more
100.
people than a comedy club on any weeknight. So
That's
yeah.
true.
That is,
That is true.
absolutely true. I bartended way too many of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
The clubs are so fun though. It's so intimate, and if you got a good group, it can be so nice. It's also sometimes.
What a whole new sketch set.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not read that email carefully at all, and I saw that it started at 7 p.m. And I live on the East Coast, so I showed up 3 hours early. I was like, "Where is everybody? What's happening here?"
If it makes
Oh,
you
it's
feel
just me,
better,
okay.
if it makes you feel better, September 1st, I got on and waited, and at 9 o'clock, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! It says October 1st." Even commented on Instagram that I was so ready for it. I was a whole month early.
And then there's the European people who are waiting for January 10th to come in because their dates are the opposite of ours. So this comedy
Woke up
show
at
on my
6:30.
calendar for January 10th.
Just leave Zoom open so it says host will let you in soon, and just let him wait.
Soon.
Soon.
I woke up at 6:30 a.m. to attend the show. I slept back. I woke up at 7:30, and now it was showing. So I could not attend. So I basically missed almost all the show.
Let's start over.
But
We
it's
can start
fine.
over.
Yeah, I
Do
know.
it. Roll back. Do it again.
We're going again, back to one.
But I knew this was going to happen because the time difference is pretty significant in India to US. It's always a 12-hour shift. But I was like, yeah, I'll be able to do it. But as a medical student, you really don't get much luxury or sleep times.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when it's 6 o'clock in India, it's still 1961 in America, I think.
1971 here in the UK, but that's another matter.
1949 in the UK, if I understood correctly.
Oh, we've gone up a few years then. Oh, wonderful. Good. Because once Oliver was walking past me with his bowl ready to ask for some more earlier on. But there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's what? Just after 4:30 in the morning here in the UK. But the first thing that I always do when I get my Zoom invites, because I'm used to actually going to Zooms in America at stupid o'clock in the morning. First thing I do is add them to my calendar because it automatically adjusts the time zone.
Right. Yeah.
It's talking, right, okay, so it's 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Have a few hours nap beforehand then.
I know there's a few voice people in the room. Did you have to jump on that Source Connect bandwagon in the beginning of the pandemic and like have to get on with somebody in Spain at 3 o'clock in the morning to get it sorted out?
I actually
love
don't have
that.
Source
That was a
Connect.
good time.
You don't?
I don't know how I have survived without Source Connect. And this is when after Source Connect, I'm like, how about Bidalgo Call, which is free, or how about whatever? And I have my first client that's like, we need Source Connect next week, so I'm gonna have to set it up. I've used it before. I've done the trial. It's all ported and everything, but like I haven't activated. I haven't paid for it. I just did the free trial.
I'm
And
teaching a
it's
Source Connect class
it's
soon,
crazy that I don't have it. I've used it like for the trial, but it's crazy that I don't have it. I
It
just
should be
always,
over. It
I
should be
always
over
just
now.
suggest an alternative. I'm just like, what about this? And they're like, okay, it's free. You just click on this link. But I should get it. There's no reason to not have it. It's just crazy that I don't have it.
I'm
But
at the point now when I cast, it's assumed that you have it, but
I just lie and say I
if I'm
have
doing
it.
more than one person in a record, I don't use it. I go with Source Connect Now, the free version.
Source Connect Now is so much easier, and that's usually what
So
I
much easier.
suggest.
And it's easier for me as an
Yeah,
engineer.
and I say I have it because I'll connect it if somebody's like, you must be on Source Connect. I will connect it immediately. So I say I have it, but most of my clients are in Europe because I'm a night owl. I go to bed at like 5 or 6 a.m. So I'm available until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon European time. So I have a large amount of German clients because I have that generic American accent. So I have a ton of like corporate German clients where I do all of their boring corporate videos, and they don't want it to be funny. It's Germans. They friendly but serious. And like they'll
you're
be like,
wrong
we
about
put
this.
a joke on page 42, and it's like, and then Jordan tripped. And it's like, it's not a joke.
One trip.
Yeah,
And then they go on to all of the policies to do when Jordan tripped. And I'm like, what's the joke? And they're like, he tripped. Ha 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 ha. And I'm like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, Germans have this kind of humor. They
Yes.
find humorous what other people find serious. And
Yeah.
I believe that in Germany they
fuck
call
is
that
going on?
Schadenfreude.
Yes.
Schadenfreude is simply pleasure from other people's pain. That's what that is.
Yes, it is. It worked out well, but yeah, they will
explains a
laugh,
lot
and then
about
I
the
just
40s.
laugh when they laugh. I'm like, ah ha 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 ha. But yeah, I speak basic German and stay up all night, so German clients love me. It works well. Or East Coast, early morning East Coast clients, I'll be like, I can do a session at 8 a.m. Other West Coast LA talent will never do an 8 a.m. East Coast talent. I'm like, oh, I'll do an 8 a.m. because it's 5 here and I'm still awake. I'm just like, yep, that's me. Tawny's not. She's an old lady. She goes to bed at like 8:30. She's like, I got my chamomile, chamomile. I'm gonna go to bed.
Me being up this late, I'm like,
Yeah, this
I
is her bedtime.
Yeah.
She's gonna walk the dog and then go to sleep for like 12 hours. This took it out of her.
Honestly, I stayed up an hour and a half.
No.
You stayed up an
Several
hour and
people-
42 minutes past my
Several
bedtime.
people
So
are arguing about time zones in the chat. And it's like, yeah, no, or like at least time periods. And it's like, yeah, then the English Empire is still in the 1940s. We've still got India in the 1960s. But you guys realize that Korea has been stuck in the 1950s for like 50 years.
Yeah, but that style is coming back.
Exactly.
In the 90s, we
In a
thought we
hurry.
were becoming progressive. Like in the 90s, we were hopeful. We thought we were on the way. And then, yeah.
That's why millennials are all so depressed. Like we had a lot of history teachers that were like, we're living in a post-history time. And that's so laughable now. Like we were expecting like we were gonna progress into this utopia where like people were going to be working less, there was going to be universal basic income. Like that was the direction we were heading, and now we're living in this fucking Charles Dickens like society that's going to be Mad Max pretty soon.
Where
Yeah, like
economy
hunter-gatherers.
is
Our
to talk
history teachers
about
were
quiet
right.
quitting, and it's like, oh, so people doing their jobs, this is a bad thing now? Like, oh, people aren't giving the company free time and effort anymore? Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, quiet quitting, and it's like no,
Yeah.
not quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting, I'm acting my wage.
Exactly.
I'm literally doing my job. I'm literally
Acting
doing
my
what you pay me
wage.
to do.
Acting my wage is great.
That's a great line.
We are actually working less hours on average, but that's because unemployment is so high right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So our history teachers were right. We are working
We
less.
are working less.
The effect yes, the cause no.
They told us to spend more time outside. They didn't realize it's because we wouldn't have anywhere to live. You know, they were just really pushing that.
The good news is we're going to have flying cars. Bad news is
Connect with
nobody can
nature.
fly.
They told us that money wouldn't matter, and it's because we didn't know it was because money would be worthless.
Yeah.
They were right. They were just
All
wrong
right.
about why they were right.
See, I'm glad as a Gen Z, I was told I would be screwed from the get-go. So
Yeah, we set Gen Z up with some realistic
Exactly.
expectations.
Yeah.
As a college teacher, I love to crush the hopes and dreams. But then they're like, now they don't have any when they already get there. So I have to like rethink mine. No.
That's what I noticed. Like that's like the big divide between millennials and Gen Z is like millennials were like, you know, we're withdrawing from hopium, and then Gen Z was like Bane. They're like, I was born into the darkness, raised in it. Like, they, like went into this
exactly
raw dog
right.
life. That's
And
why they're
here
so
I am,
cool.
Gen X. Gen X is just quietly sipping a beer and nodding.
That's because you guys been apathetic forever. You're like, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah,
Like
Whatever,
you
we
feel,
don't
that's
give
what
a
you
shit.
did.
Yeah, that's kind of the Gen Z thing or Gen X thing.
I gotta say, I'm a Gen X and I'm a parent of 2 millennials. My son will be 28 here this month, and then my youngest is 24. And I am like kind of horrified for them, and I'm still starting over again myself in midlife. And so, yeah, I'm just like, oh, geez, hang on for the ride. Hopefully we don't have to grab our ankles because this is just crazy.
My
I'm
parents
the millennial. I'm the
they
millennial who's
bought their
still salty.
house. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
My parents bought their house earlier on, so it wasn't like ridiculously expensive. They were able to do it, and then they were helping my brother out because you can't get a mortgage now for anything. And so they signed on the mortgage, and my mom was shocked at how much the house was going to cost now. And I'm like, yeah, that's why the like no one in my generation is buying houses anymore. This is why I rent.
Not in this market.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just a millennial who's salty that gets blamed for everything Gen Z does. Tide Pod Challenge, Gen Z, not us.
being a 22-year-old trying to get real estate properties is incredibly
Ours was
difficult.
cinnamon. We
Yes,
we're
We
the
did
cinnamon
the cinnamon and
challenge
the
call.
saltine cracker one.
And then we just
Yeah.
stopped, and then Gen Z, and then Gen Z
Yeah.
just continued the stupidity.
Yeah, like whoa, our stupidity.
I have a lot of hope.
Oh,
for
I
Gen Z
will own up to our
now.
stupidity.
I would
Gen
Like
Z
I
personally,
get
but
paid
okay.
for our millennial stupidity now. I light myself on fire for fun and profit.
Right?
So like,
But
yeah.
When's your next show?
I have got to.
Unless you're coming up to Canada, unfortunately.
I'm a
We can
jaded
now.
social worker, so all of this bullshit that's going on is wonderful job security for me.
You guys will always have a job.
I
Yeah,
have got to.
I'm in the disaster business, so I'm booked like forever.
Yeah, and before that, I was a paramedic, so it was even greater.
Oh.
I have got to ask, how much does a 1-bedroom in East San Diego go for?
Too
much. You think? What?
Connie,
I
he's
don't know
asking
what-
how much does a 1-bedroom in East San Diego go for?
For rent or for
For rent.
For rent, yeah.
in East County, I think it's like, I know the median is 2,600, But,
What?
I don't know for families usually.
That would be a 2-bedroom though, right?
No, I think that's a 1-bedroom.
That's a 1-bedroom.
Be translating that to Canadian dollars. That's like $8,000. No.
As you,
More than twice my mortgage.
as you were
I'm in
doing the show,
Encinitas,
I
and that's what it's here.
That's the thing. We pay rent. We pay these like ridiculous rent prices. And then the bank says, no, you can't afford,
You can't afford a mortgage.
And it's like, but
Which is half of that.
right, yeah.
the scam. Being an adult is a total scam. I'm pretty sure it's like when you're a kid, birthdays are like the best. Birthdays, Christmas, those sorts of holidays. And so you're like, yeah, I wish it was Christmas every day. And it just takes a little while for the universe to pick up on that. And then eventually you're like, oh my God, Christmas was just like yesterday. What is happening?
I think the end of Reality Bites gets darker and darker the more the more time passes. That last little blip where they're driving off and there's a voicemail from the dad who was paying the gas bill and he's, why do I have a $700 gas bill? And the idea that you would need your family to support you when you're in your mid-20s and you've finished your schooling, you've done all the things you're supposed to, according to Hoyle, and then it is nowhere near enough to get started, and you've done everything anybody's asked you, and you followed all the rules, and you are so far behind.
Look, I'm 22, but I don't need a reality check. Can't hear the laugh.
Crash.
You have Ethan Hawke and Winona Ryder give it to you with Ben Stiller. It gets a lot funnier.
Came here to laugh, man.
No, we got too dark. Let's go back to dead baby jokes.
That was better.
Let's go back to
Somebody
dead
tell
baby.
me another joke about a dead baby. Fuck.
There's a difference between dark and real.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, by the way, the dead
can
baby
cry.
Vaxxer joke was a home run. That was
that was actually
Yeah,
that was a home run.
great.
I
If we
texted
learn
it to like
anything
12
from
people.
tonight.
I was like, guess what Tani just said?
Yeah,
That was bad.
That might actually be better than that not family. Is it Family Guy? Yeah, the Family Guy moment with the two death guys have a collision and one gets reincarnated and he comes right back and the other guy goes, girl, because he came back from China. It's such a great bit.
Yeah, they actually did from the Chinese. They came back with the Chinese baby, and
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. I think that was probably better than the Prom Night Dumpster Baby song for me. Just because it caught me so off guard. It was so funny.
Hey, that might be a little more popular now.
Oh God.
I have a question. Are
All of a sudden,
anti-vaxxers a real
searching
problem?
Google searches for dead dumpster baby.
Someone asked, are anti-vaxxers a real problem? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, just ask the New York kids with polio.
It's
if
2.5 years later. Like if everyone had gotten vaxxed, in April of 2021, we would be able to be back to normal right now if everybody had just done it.
Dude, we couldn't even get people to wear masks.
Yeah, but
It's
the only
weird
reason
how
we
India
have the
just-
variants is because
India
and
just
because
eradicated the polio, and now it's back in the US.
yeah,
Yeah,
polio is
last
here
time.
is back in the
COVID,
US.
We've got polio in New York. It's
Yeah,
good
it's
times.
scary.
Like, what year is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Unfortunately-
Anti-vaxxers are only a problem if you're not a horrible mutant creature that is like, I don't care if I die, witness me, Valhalla, sprays gold paint on his face and then attacks him. then the diseases aren't a problem because you're never going to live long enough to get to those.
Yeah,
I still want to know where the murder hornets went. I was excited for that. Where did they go?
The thing is, they're still around. We just don't talk about them because there's so many worse things. The murder hornets still exist. They're still up in Washington State. Because I the other day Googled what happened to the murder hornets because I was wondering. I had that same thought. They're apparently still around. We just don't talk about them because COVID.
I was all pumped up. I was getting the bird
so-
shot ready. I was like ready
Yeah.
to go.
Training? Would you like more polio in exchange for murder hornets? I mean, I just want to change.
Yeah, I would have
the
thought
murder
that.
hornets invaded Ukraine. I get confused with the headline.
Did you
The
guys
Russians in Washington?
I say they probably
murder
have better
hornets in
success in
Ukraine.
Russia.
We live in a timeline where murder hornets got bumped off of the news cycle because there's so much murder hornets. Like, I can't off
Literally
the top
murder
of my
hornet.
head of two worse words to go together, but somehow here we are.
Yeah, but we bullied an asteroid for being a little bitch, so that was.
Revenge for the dinosaurs.
Those little spring-powered guns that they have salt in them, and then they shoot salt out, and they kill like flies.
Oh,
and stuff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm just saying,
Salt guns.
we could have used that. Like they developed an arsenal to combat the murder hornets. Then the murder hornets were no longer a problem. So now we're just stuck with a bunch of guns that shoot salt at an annoying velocity.
That
Yeah,
is the
but they're
most
good in a
American
restaurant.
thing I've
We've
heard
been
all
sending
day.
those
Salt.
to Ukraine.
Maybe I should use those for anti-maskers. Is just shoot salt in their mouth as they come near me. I have the little salt gun, and then they're just like,
Just a spray gun like a cat. No.
yeah,
Bat.
For
no,
the rest
bad.
of the day, they're just a little dehydrated.
Put on your mask.
You're giving me ideas because I have one of those.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I have a salt addiction. I'd like that though.
It could also be used for fun. You know, it could be a game. How far away in the kitchen can you stand
That's
while
what I needed.
still getting the salt in your mouth? Yeah.
That's exactly what I needed in my head.
Yeah, when you
Murder
can't
hornet
leave your
spider
house because you're afraid of COVID, you just stand in the kitchen and shoot salt at each other. It doesn't count as spilling if it's intentional, so it's not bad.
We
luck.
just
Hey,
discovered a new
Tawny
porn.
talked about dead babies, and I think we're scaring her now.
Oh.
With a salt gun
Tommy's used to
challenge.
this. She intentionally talks to me frequently, so she's used to it. Intentionally.
I've got an
She
idea. guys.
chooses it.
I mean, after you find your husband dead in the kitchen, there's not really a whole lot.
Really,
It's my
murder
wife's
hornets don't
dream.
drop that.
I have to like remind myself to like react when people say stuff. Like somebody will be like, "Yeah," and then this really bad thing happened, and I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah, oh my god, oh my god." You know, I'm like, yeah.
Tawny,
You gotta
can I ask,
weaponize
how
that.
long were you married?
We were married for, let's see, 16, 17. We were married for 3 years, and we were together for about 6.5.
Okay, so you weren't married long enough to like be hoping to find his body.
No, we were best friends.
They
Like,
were
I don't
so
ever
cute.
thought-
It was gross, in the best way. They were so disgusting and cute and wonderful and like, yeah.
If you
So
did an
cute.
a short audio book about finding your dead husband in the kitchen, my wife and a lot of women I know would gobble that up. That would be like porn for them.
Oh, it's time to
I
get a
just hit the-
divorce, then life's
I've
too
hit-
short.
Yeah.
I hit the 20-year mark. This is her dream. It happened. One
Yeah, if
more
you're-
taco and he's gone.
Oh, time to get a divorce.
One more
Yeah,
time.
move on.
Yeah, move on. If you're hoping that your partner is dead, like time to go. Like honestly.
I'm not saying she's
Sure.
hoping,
Bad
but she
trip
did bring
or
home a
about
6-pack of glazed donuts.
I'm
So.
just gonna start dating like much older, wealthy men, and that's my retirement plan. It hasn't worked out so well for me so
Yeah,
far.
Tawny
but,
didn't
like,
even get the like big payout. Like she didn't even.
No, I got a ton of medical debt.
Yeah, you're supposed
Plus,
to get
she's
the
gonna
big
go
payout
full
when you
Melania.
become a widow. Like that's supposed to be the widow benefits is getting the big payout. Where was that?
No,
Like,
I got nothing. I'm still like $40,000 in credit card debt from trying to like save his life. Trying to like
you didn't get nothing. You got post-traumatic stress disorder. Tawny. Don't be ungrateful.
they get nothing. Yeah.
Jeez.
I should really be grateful for
You
what I
should
did.
really be
Not the
grateful.
PTSD.
You know, it really happens for a reason, honey.
Yeah, it's God's plan. God's
It's just
plan.
it was all a part of God's plan.
Johnny is
Die. You die, someone else inherits your
You know,
debt.
he just put this on you
Not-
so that you could deliver a message to people, and it would be really special.
Tawny is my best friend, and I keep telling her she needs to aim older and sicklier.
Yeah, I mean, got the sickly part on the first go, but she forgot that he needed to be old and wealthy.
Yeah,
So someone
I know.
forgot to
Wealthy
clear
is
that
the important
part.
I keep going
Wealthy
for
and
medically
sickly.
fragile men that are my age. It's wrong.
Yeah,
They can be your age
Until you
and
have a type.
medically unwell, but make sure they're wealthy.
that they have to be wealthy and
Paying
unwell.
your own
Tommy.
medical bills is an expectant.
This is
Is it
America.
okay
We
if I
can't
ask
afford
you-
to date poor people.
You know, you'll become immensely profitable, and someone from the insurance claim adjuster or from the hospital be like, as a result of the exposure you got from our handling of this, we would like 3% of the most favorable definition of profits, you know.
Something like that.
You could just pitch that. Call them. Can I just pay you in a percentage share of my comedy since you caused all this trauma to me? Can we just give you residuals? We'll put this off until I'm famous, and then I'll pay.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out tonight. I am going to actually do I'm going to do an encore show next Saturday because so many people got fucked over by Zoom. I'm going to offer that to folks who weren't able to make it, and then go do some refunds for those who are really, really mad at me and are emailing me right now.
Oh no.
No. Oh, no.
So thank you all for coming. I'm glad you were able to get in.
Oh.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
blame you for Zoom later.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tell them the
Thank
focus
you very
group
much.
really
Good night,
liked it, and you
everybody.
should
There you go.
stay.
Excellent
Great
work.
show.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Absolutely
Yeah.
great job.
Can't wait for the next one.
Right?
Bye.
I hope I see
Brilliant
you.
show,
It was really
Tommy.
lovely seeing you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
it was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.